Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Monday, November 14th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Maryland game is in 5 days, the game against Michigan in 12 days. We're going to take one last look back at the Indiana game before we move on to Maryland, and we're going to do that with the help of Ryan Day and Kamryn Babb and Indiana coach Tom Allen, and we're going to start with the situation at running back. And for Ohio State, it is honestly not that great right now. TreVeyon Henderson has missed the last 2 games. Miyan Williams was carted off on Saturday. Evan Pryor's out for the year. Chip Trayanum missed the game on Saturday. Even top walk-on TC Caffey is out. So that leaves just true freshman Dallin Hayden as a healthy running back, unless you want to include Xavier Johnson. But after the game, they sounded pretty optimistic that reinforcements were going to be coming soon.
I don't think that these, hopefully, these are going to be, things that we can overcome here in a short period of time. Great to see our depth show up. We'll have to see, but it didn't look like, based on what we saw here in the locker room, that it was going to be something that was going to be really long term. So we'll see how he feels overnight, and then hoping to get Trey back for next week.
If you are looking for reasons for optimism with the running backs with that Michigan game, yes, just 12 days away. That does tend to be one of the more plug-and-play positions on the team. There's a reason you've seen multiple true freshmen start there from day one or close to it. Guys like J.K. Dobbins, TreVeyon Henderson, even Maurice Clarett back in the day. So is that one of the easiest spots to plug a new guy in and have the offense kind of keep on rolling as compared to having to do that with, say, a quarterback or an offensive lineman?
I think it just depends on your skill set. It's hard to fit the right person in there. And the thing for Xavier came in and has played so many different positions. He played running back for a whole spring, maybe even more than that. So he had a background in that. To say like, could you put Julian Fleming and play running back? No, you just can't do that. You couldn't do that with Marvin Harrison. I guess maybe a Mecca because he's a little bit built like that, but it's hard to find the right skill set to do something like that. And I think that's what makes Xavier a weapon for us, and happy to see him make those plays.
Dawand Jones and Denzel Burke didn't play on Saturday either. So what's their status leading up to the final 2 games of the regular season?
We'll kind of see tomorrow how it all goes, but it's this time of year. So, guys are going to be banged up. It's just the way it goes. But, and there were a lot of guys who played banged up today, a lot. These guys just didn't feel like they were ready to play. And certainly we're not going to put them in a game if they don't feel like they can play. But we're looking, hopefully, to get a full week of work out of them and see them play against Maryland.
One of the biggest plays on Saturday was the blocked punt by Lathan Ransom. He had a great day all around, but when you make a big play like that on special teams, Day knows it can give the whole team a spark.
Yeah, was all over the place and did a really good job with Parker Fleming on that adjustment. That was something that was a little bit of an adjustment based on what they were doing, and he was able to put that on the field. And I think that's a sign of a mature player that you can talk about on the sideline, make an adjustment, then go put it on the field in a game like that, a competitive excellence. We've worked hard on that. We've worked hard on the tracks of blocking punts. And there's an art to that. You can be out of control and run into the punter, which will be a 15-yard penalty, which certainly keeps coaches up at night. But he did it really well, got his hands right to the ball. A lot of times what you want to do is you start swatting at the balls. He put his hands right on it and really well executed. Great to see him playing so well across the board. I know he's, I think, a finalist for the Jim Thorpe Award. And now to see him make a play like that kind of flipped the game for us, I felt like, in the second half.
The big story coming out of the Indiana game, of course, was Kamryn Babb, the 5th-year senior who had gone through 4 separate ACL injuries over the last 5 years. He was elected team captain and awarded the Block O jersey without ever recording a reception as a Buckeye, which kind of tells you everything you need to know about how his teammates and his coaches view him. So then on Saturday, he caught an 8-yard touchdown pass from C.J. Stroud, which turned into one of the most emotional and genuine moments you were ever going to see on a football field. So here was Ryan Day's thoughts on Kamryn Babb's incredible story.
Where do we start with that? This is somebody who's overcome 4 ACL surgeries. So that's 9 months recovery times 4. So that's a long time to be in recovery, not being able to do something that you love. And when it happened the last time, he never batted an eye. He said, "This is what I want to do." He put his faith in God and felt like this was his journey. And what happened today in the stadium was magical. And that's what college football means to a lot of people. Not to everybody, but to a lot of people. And that's one of the reasons why college football is special. It's one of the reasons why you coach, is to see something like that happen. And hopefully there's somebody out there that's going through tough times that can see that as a motivation to overcome, because it's one thing to see that moment right there, but it's all the morning workouts he had with Adam Stewart. It's all the, mornings waking up on crutches. It's, the disappointment, because that's not what you picture when you graduate high school, when you sign with Ohio State, is something like this. But there was something special that went on in the field there, and you could see it with our team. And I was really happy for him, but just really selfishly proud to be part of a moment like that, to see someone overcome such great obstacles in life. I just can't say enough about it, because there'll be great wins and there'll be great outcomes here at Ohio State, but that what would come is one of those, and it's not something that people will see, but at least they were able to be a part of that right there. And those who were in the stadium were able to be a part of it, because that's been around.
It was far from a given that Babb would ever get the chance to do what he did on Saturday. He injured his leg again this summer, and there was some doubt whether he'd actually be able to get back out on the field. And then even during the game on Saturday, it wasn't a given that he would get to play. So here are Day's thoughts on those stories.
Cam he tweaked him, his lower extremity again in preseason. And so he was kind of in a process of getting back on the field, and weren't sure when that was going to be. And we never knew when the time was going to be that he was going to actually go back in the game and play. It was the moment was right. We still had the starters in the game after, we muffed the punt and they scored, and we were going to take the starters out. It didn't happen that way. We decided to keep the starters in, so that had to happen. And then Marvin caught that pass, and we felt like, okay, now it's time to take Marvin out. Just probably too much risk at this point with Marvin. And that's when Hart said, well, I think it's Cam Babb's time. And so we called one play. That was a swing to Xavier. And, if it didn't work out that way, it was going to come back to Cam. We got the ball into the red zone. There was, I think, an injury on the play. And CJ came up to me and he said, what do you think about trying to get Cam a touchdown right here? And I said, I think it's right. And we called it, and it worked out that way. So, again, pretty neat.
And it is always interesting to hear from the other side of things, the opposing head coach and his view of the Buckeyes and what it's like to try to stop them. So here was Indiana head coach Tom Allen sharing his thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, obviously, with all the playmakers that they have, just the run-pass conflicts they put you in, was a concern going in. But, try to be able to load the box, take away the run. They got some talented running backs, and then obviously the receivers, if you isolate those guys, try to, double cover a couple guys, but you can't do more than that than two of them, some past situations. So, yeah, I was disappointed in the explosive plays we gave up, especially in the run game. More so, the pass game is hard. They got guys matched up against you, and just not enough hats to the ball, not enough guys making plays and finishing plays at the point of attack. Didn't think we'd fit the run, obviously very even close to being what is acceptable. So really disappointed in that regard, but really talented football team. We have to have guys step up, but I just didn't think the execution to me was still, even though we had a pretty simple plan, trying to help our guys get to the football, surround it, and get guys on the ground. So just disappointing performance for sure.
And now on to Cam Babb. We went through his story earlier, but from his perspective, what all went into that one moment in the end zone?
I don't really know if words can kind of describe it, but if I had to say a word, man, just thankfulness for, first and foremost, Jesus Christ, man, and who he is to me. He's my rock, my Lord, my Savior. So, but also thankful for my teammates and CJ. I was telling guys earlier, I meant to send it to CJ, but there was a pass that he threw like freshman year to me at practice during camp. And he's kind of been, ever since he got on campus, really, he's been there and kind of held me up when I felt like I couldn't go on. So he's a great football player. Love him as a football player, but I love him as just a brother. And I see him just as a young man that's trying to follow Christ. And so just the fact that he has my back in the moments that he has, I'm just thankful, man. So.
Right after Babb caught that touchdown, you saw him fall to his knees in the end zone. So what was going through his head at that moment?
I would say the past 5 years that's kind of been what's been on a dream of mine is whenever I catch a touchdown, whenever that moment is, to get on my knees and give praise to him, to Jesus Christ, because that's that's the only hope that I truly have. Football, I love football. I love what it can do for so many people. But I just know there's a world with a whole bunch of stuff going on, and so many people need hope. And so if I could give and shine the light that Jesus has given me and give that to others, I think that's my responsibility as a son of God, a son of Jesus. So that moment has kind of been in my mind for the past 5 years, though. So.
It would have been easy for Babb to quit somewhere along the way. Again, he had 4 separate ACL injuries, and certainly no one would have blamed him at all if he had decided just to hang him up and take a medical hardship and move on with his life. So what was it that kept him going? Was it football? Was it faith? Something else?
I would say, I love football, but mostly faith. Mostly, again, knowing that when I, truly surrender my life to Jesus and he showed me his love and who he is. I just wanted to share that with the world. And we have such a big platform here at Ohio State. I just thought, if it doesn't work out, then Jesus is still good. He's still King. He's still Lord. He's still my Savior. It doesn't really matter. But if it works out in a way that I think it can, then like I said, there's so many people that I can turn to him, and I think there's a lot of sadness and stuff going on in the world. And I just wanted to be able to tell people about what Jesus has done in my life. And just even for my teammates, I know they go through things just like me. So if I could just help them out as well, that was it too.
That really was a Hollywood moment in the Horseshoe on Saturday. You wonder if they're going to turn Cam Babb's story into a movie at some point. That was just a remarkable journey to get him to that moment and to have it pay off in the way that it did on Saturday and have the response that it did. That is one of those moments that's going to go down in Ohio State football history. A very cool moment, and I think it was fair to say everyone in that stadium was very happy that Cam Babb got that moment to finally pay off all those years of hard work and dedication. So good for Cam Babb, and now we'll be moving on, heading towards the Maryland game coming up this weekend. We'll have our normal team coverage coming up this week. We'll have our the interviews on Tuesday. Have our normal college football playoff live reveal show. Probably give me some interesting stuff that, coming up that week after a couple top 10 upsets. See how that has shaken things up in the college football playoff rankings. And then usual team coverage on Wednesday with player interviews in the evening. And then Tony, Kevin, and I head to Maryland on Friday. Buckeyes and Terps kicking off at 3:30 on Saturday afternoon. From College Park, we will have our usual complete coverage, pregame show, live postgame show, all that good stuff. All at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. That will do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.